Hey, rising juniors. We're going to be talking about registration for the 2021-22 school year. Power School is getting ready to open up for you guys on March 22nd. Just like in previous years, you have to be logged into your account to go into Power School and register for classes. You wouldn't be able to use your parents' account. So just make sure you're logging into your account. And if you don't know your Power School login at this point in the year, you should, but if you do not, make sure you ask one of your teachers and they can get that information for you. So let me put this presentation in the presentation mode. All right, so let's get started. So just a quick review of graduation requirements. This shouldn't be new information for you, but I want to make sure everyone knows what they need in order to graduate. I'm trying to move my camera so that way it doesn't block the graduation requirements. So in order to graduate from Mountain Island Charter, you have to have a minimum of 22 credits. So most students will graduate with more than 22 credits. You take 6 classes a year. You're in high school for 4 years. So you will end up with more than 22 if you're passing everything. But you do have to have that minimum in order to get a diploma from Mountain Island Charter. So within the 22, you have your 4 English. So that's why it's so important to pass English every year, because you cannot go on to the next grade level without it. And you need 4 English credits. And then with math, this is where it's going to be a little bit different. So depending on your future plans after high school, that will determine what you have for that 4th math class. So you do have to have 4 math credits, that math 1, 2, and 3, and then your 4th math will align with your post-secondary plans. And then a lot of students will have their 4th math completed like junior year, and you want to make sure that you have that math every year of high school, so that way you're ready for whatever your future plans may be. So science, there are 3 credits required for science: your earth environmental, which most of you would take your 9th grade year, then biology, and a physical science. And physical science can be either chemistry, it can be physics, or it can be the course called physical science. So a lot of times students are done with their science requirements by junior year. And then depending on what you want to do in your future, you may have a science credit your senior year as well. Social studies, you'll have your world history, civics and economics, and then American 1 and American history 2. If you are a student that is planning to take AP US history, that counts as 1 credit. And so in order to get that 4 social studies credit, you would do world history, civics and economics, AP US history, and then a 4th social studies elective would get you to that total of 4. Health and PE is just 1 credit. So most students take that 9th grade year. If you, for some reason, didn't take your health and PE class then, you need to make sure you get it in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. It has to include that health component. So if you are a student that took weight training but have not taken health and PE, weight training does not count as health and PE. It must be the course that includes the health education. So then for elective requirements, you would have 6 electives. Within those 6, there are ones that are required. And so 2 of those 6 must be either 2 world languages. So that would be Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, or a fine arts, or a career and technical education. So if you are planning to go on to college after high school and you want to attend a UNC system school, it is required that you have a minimum of 2 years in world language. So Spanish 1 and 2 would help you meet that minimum, but it is not a graduation requirement. So a lot of students will get confused where they think they have to have foreign language in order to graduate. You don't if you have either fine arts or CTE, but if you plan to get into go on to the UNC system schools after graduation, and again, that's a minimum meaning the smallest number you can have. So if you want to be more competitive for the UNC system schools, you'd go beyond that minimum of 2 years of foreign language. So in order to graduate, you either have to have 2 credits in world language, which would be what we offer at Mountain Island Charter, Spanish 1 and 2. There are students that have taken different world languages at other schools they may have attended, or they've taken a different foreign language through NCVPS, which is North Carolina Virtual Public School. So you can graduate without that world language as long as you then would have to have either 2 fine art classes. So that could be your visual arts, that could be your, let's see, what else do we have in arts? So you could do either chorus or band, that counts as fine arts. And then CTE, these are our career and technical education classes. So we have business classes that we offer in that category. So we've had marketing, entrepreneurship, principles of business, and then we also have a new one we're going to be introducing for next year. So graduation requirements include 6 electives, and then the ones that you have to have are either 2 world languages, 2 fine arts, or 2 CTE. Oops. So we're going to use the course planning worksheet. If you did registration through your Google Classroom last year, this may look familiar. So this is where you map out what you've taken this year, and then that helps you with planning ahead for next year. So I put a sample. You don't have to fill out every grade if you don't want to, but some people like to be able to see their full high school plan. So, you can write out the classes that you passed in 9th grade, and then what you're going to want to do is complete what you're taking this year. So that way you can help, it'll help you with planning ahead for your junior year. So go through the 10th grade and put the English class that you're currently taking, which is your English 2, if it's standard or honors, and then you're going to go through and put your math, your science, your social studies, and then there really isn't a right or wrong way to fill this out. So some people use that health and PE spot to put a different elective that they've taken, or if you would rather put your 2 electives into where it says electives, you can do that. But just so you can see the 6 classes that you're taking this year, and then when you plan out next year, that's where you can go on to think like, how am I doing in my English class this year? And if you're not sure what level of English class you should take, that's where you have your wonderful English teacher to touch base with to see where you'd be appropriately placed. So when you go on to junior year, you have the option of AP level English, and then or there's honors or there's standard. So that's where your teachers play a big part in your registration, because you want to make sure you're appropriately placed based on your ability and where you've been successful, and then you don't want to over challenge yourself for next year, and then you struggle, and as a result your grades aren't as high as they once were because you took on a too rigorous of a schedule. So your teachers are there to help you. So if you're ever not sure what level you should go on to, your teacher is going to be a great resource to ask. So take this time to fill out your course planning worksheet for next year. So thinking, what do I want to take for what level for English, for math, for science, for social studies. And then I'm going to go on to share with you our electives. So this is where things can change from year to year, what we offer. So there is, if you click on the elective options, if you're a remote student, or this can be shared with you, so that way you have all of the electives listed in one spot. But when you go into Power School, you'll be able to select from this list. So we have a lot of different art options. We have a couple social studies electives, and then science electives, math electives. The thing I need you guys to pay attention to is if anything has a prerequisite, that means that's a class you have to have taken, or if it says a co-rec, that means that's a class that you have to take concurrently, where you'd have to be taking both classes to be able to take it. So for example, in the science electives, there's AP Physics that we offer. So it has a co-requisite of a pre-calc, which means if you have taken pre-calc, you are eligible to take the class, or if you are registering to take pre-calc, you could take the class. But if you are a student that you're currently taking Math 2 and will be taking Math 3 next year, you do not have that, that requirement met. So Pay attention to the parentheses because they're there to give you some more information. If you look over in the career and technical education classes, this is where we have some changes. Our CTE classes are all at the honors level. And we change what we offer each year. So this year we had a course called entrepreneurship. You'll see that that's not being offered next year. We will be having marketing, principles of business and finance, and then project management is a new one that we will be offering. And then we also have a new one called costume design. And so that is for students that have already taken the apparel 1 and 2. I'm trying to think what else is new. We also are going to have AP music theory. So in order to take AP level music theory, you do have to have some experience with high school level ensembles. So that could be either chorus or band. And if you're not sure if you have that requirement met, you can always reach out to Miss Goolsby. She will be our instructor for AP music theory, and she can answer any questions you have about it. So this is where you get to have some fun of, picking new classes. So we have new things that are offered, and then also there might be classes that you didn't get a chance to take 10th grade year because your schedule was packed with required classes. So thinking through what is it that I'm interested in, or what do I want to try taking to see if it's something you may be interested in. And when you pick your classes, remember you always will pick your primary, elective, and then your alternate. So in the event that your first choice elective doesn't work, what's another class that you'd be interested in taking? So that way Power School has a way to pull in a different class if the class you would like to take is not available or does not work with your schedule. So I'm now going to go through some commonly asked questions. So this may help some of you if you had these questions in the back of your mind. NCVPS request, so that is North Carolina Virtual Public School. So these are classes that are offered online, and it gives students the opportunity to take classes that we do not offer. So you may have heard a student taking French, and so they are able to take French through NCVPS because it is not offered at Mountain Island Charter. So you can see what NCVPS offers by going to their website, which is ncvps.org. And that way you can go through their catalog to see what they offer. With NCVPS, it does require principal approval because we pay for you to take these classes. So one thing we want to look at is to make sure you've been successful in your classes. You're not taking on a class that would be too challenging for you. You have the prerequisites met. And it's also a class that we do not offer. So you can put in requests for NCVPS, and then your counselor and Mr. Byron would be looking through the request and will let you know if it's approved. And if it is approved, then for next school year, when you take an NCVPS class, you work on that in a classroom on campus, but your instructor is through NCVPS. It's not a teacher at Mountain Island Charter. So if you've heard of students taking what we call study hall, it's not that they just have a class where they're just working on their classes. They're actually taking an online class. So they're using that location to log into their online class and to work on it during that class period during the school day. As a rising junior, this is where you have more room in your schedule to do internships. So we have a lot of students on campus that work in different classrooms or in the office at middle school, high school building, or in the lower school. So if you are interested in internships, there is an application that you complete, and that application can be picked up in the office, or if you click on this, I don't know if I'll have to attach an additional handout so that way it can be pulled up, but there is an application you complete for yourself, and that's where you can indicate if you have a preference for internship. So you can put like maybe there's a specific subject that you'd be interested in, or if there's a specific teacher, but know that those are requests. So teachers will also put in their requests for interns, and then those are matched up over the summer. So it's not a guarantee just because you put a teacher that you love on there. There could be 5 other students that put that teacher as well, and that teacher cannot have 5 interns. So know that we want to match you up with where your interests are, but we also have to make sure that it works for the teacher and that all the teachers that request interns are getting interns, and it's not one teacher with 5, and then you've got a teacher that would really love an intern and doesn't have any. So that's how the internship requests work. So if you are interested, you will need to fill out that application in order to take internship for next year. Dual enrollment. So we are offering an information session during lunch on March 17th. So that is on Wednesday. So if you have first, second, or third lunch, we are going to be offering during all 3 lunches. And if you are a remote student, we will be sharing the presentation afterwards, so that way you can see it as well. So we work with both CPCC and Gaston, and when you work with the community colleges, you actually are following their enrollment steps to be able to take dual enrollment classes. So that's why we're doing just a brief information session to direct students to the appropriate website, whether you're thinking CPCC or Gaston. And then if you are thinking CPCC, one thing they require you to do is to attend their information session. So we're just doing a brief overview during lunch on March 17th. And then the presentation will also be shared in case you miss it. And then that way you can see, what is dual enrollment and what are the eligibility requirements, what courses could I take through it, what's the benefit, all of that fun stuff will be in a lunch session, and then also the presentation will be shared. And then I do like to share a junior year timeline, just so that way you have an idea of what you should be planning ahead for. Let's see if this comes up. All right, I was able to pull up the junior year timeline. So if you have this presentation going, you could click on the link if you are a student that likes to plan ahead. So just getting an idea of what will take place junior year, lots of important things to be aware of. So that's why I kind of mapped out what to expect as you navigate your junior year. And not everything applies to you. If you are a student that you plan to go into the workforce after high school, some of the stuff pertaining to college may not be relevant. But this is just a way so that you are aware of what's to come. So I wanted to include that for that reason. And to wrap up, I'm sure you have some questions that weren't answered, and Mr. Cathy is there to answer some in person, or if you would like further guidance, you can send me an email and I'd be glad to answer your questions that way, or you can set up a time to meet with me. So I put a little Sign Up Genius link in the presentation as well, so you can pick a time to meet with me, either if you want to do a phone call or Google Meet. One thing that's nice with Google Meet, you can use my office if you are on campus and need a quiet place to go. And then you could also have a parent join virtually if you have a parent that would like to be part of your course selection process or just talk through some things. You can sign up to meet on the Sign Up Genius, and then we can do that over Google Meet or just discuss over the phone. But it's important that your plans are specific to you. So everyone's future plans are different. So you want to make sure you're picking classes that set you up for success. And it's not a matter of picking classes that are going to put you with your friends. So I really want you guys to take advantage of this time to plan out what's going to set you up for a successful future. And that's where if you need help making some decisions, like teachers are a great resource to figure out what's going to be best for you in terms of placement. And then also if you're not sure if what this course is, or teachers can explain what's covered in different classes. So if there's any of those electives that sounded interesting to you, we do have a curriculum guide on the website, and you can click on that so you can read the course descriptions. Or if you talk to the teachers on campus or send them emails, they can also give you more information if you're not sure if that would interest you or not. So different options for you to get your questions answered. And I hope you enjoyed going through registration. So just make sure you log into PowerSchool and actually select your classes, because that completes the process. Filling out that course planning sheet is just to help you kind of map out, it's like your rough draft for going into PowerSchool. So feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, or Mr. Cathy. We're all here to help you. So hope you have a great time with registration. Thank you.